What happens when a smug MIT professor tries to dunk on a quiet guy in her class, only to find out it's Elon Musk, tech titan with a mind sharper than her equations. In a packed lecture hall, her jab backfires as Musk unleashes his genius, turning a showdown into a lesson that'll flip everything you think about smarts and swagger. Buckle up. This clash is out of this world. The lecture hall at MIT buzzed with restless energy, packed to the brim with students slouched over laptops and coffee cups. It was a crisp fall morning, the kind where the air bites just enough to keep you sharp. Professor Claire Dawson, a 30-something physics, was with a no-nonsense vibe, strode in like she owned the place. Her short blonde hair bounced as she dropped her bag on the desk and scanned the room. "All right, folks, buckle up," she said, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Today's not your usual physics drill. We're shaking things up, rethinking who gets to sit in these seats." The projector flickered on, displaying a bold slide. Privilege in science. Time for a reset. In the back row, a guy in a faded black hoodie and sneakers sat quietly, blending into the sea of overworked undergrads. No backpack, no notes, just a pair of sharp eyes taking it all in. It was Elon Musk. Yep, the Elon Musk, Tesla kingpin, SpaceX mastermind, and all-around enigma. A few students clocked him, nudging each other with wide-eyed whispers. "Is that him?" one muttered. But Claire didn't notice. She was too busy flipping through her slides, stacked with stats about inequity in STEM, ready to drop some truth bombs. "Good morning, everyone," she started, leaning into the podium. "We're not just here to crunch numbers today. We're digging into something bigger. Who really belongs at a place like MIT? Spoiler, it's not always about brains. Sometimes it's cash, connections, or just dumb luck." Her eyes swept the room, landing briefly on Elon without a hint of recognition. To her, he was just another face, probably some trust fund kid coasting through. The students shifted in their seats, sensing a detour from the usual equations and exams routine. Elon tilted his head, listening intently. No smirk, no scoff, just a flicker of curiosity. Then, casual as anything, he raised his hand. Claire caught it out of the corner of her eye and bristled. She didn't like interruptions, especially not from some rando in the cheap seats. "Yeah," she said, her tone edged with impatience. Elon dropped his hand and spoke, his voice low but steady, carrying across the room. "No offense, Professor, but aren't we here to figure out the universe, not our bank accounts?" The room went dead quiet. Claire blinked, caught off guard, then flashed a tight grin. "And who are you to call the shots in my class, mister?" She paused, fishing for a name. "Musk," he said simply. "Elon Musk." A ripple of gasps and murmurs rolled through the crowd. Claire froze for a split second, then rallied. "Well, Mr. Musk," she said, her voice dripping with sass. "Maybe not everyone gets to decide what's worth learning around here." The tension spiked, and nobody knew this was just the spark to ignite a wildfire. The MIT lecture hall went pin-drop silent after Elon Musk's bombshell intro. Professor Claire Dawson stood at the podium, arms crossed, her smirk barely hiding a flicker of irritation. "Decide what's worth learning?" she echoed, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "Mr. Musk, not everyone here got a golden ticket to MIT with private jets and daddy's checkbook." The jab landed hard, and a few students swiveled to catch Elon's reaction, expecting him to flinch. But he didn't. He just sat there, cool as ice, his gaze locked on her like he was sizing up a chessboard. "Professor," Elon said, standing up slow and deliberate, his hoodie slumping off one shoulder, "I'm not here to flex my resume. I'm here 'cause physics is my jam, same as these guys." He nodded at the students, who were now staring, half in awe, half holding their breath. Claire let out a dry laugh, tossing her head back. "Physics? You? Come on, don't tell me you squeeze quantum mechanics between tweeting and building spaceships." A couple of kids snickered, but others shifted uncomfortably, sensing the vibe souring fast. Elon didn't bite. Instead, he strolled toward the chalkboard, hands in his pockets, like he was walking onto a TED stage. Claire tracked him, eyebrows shooting up. "What's this, huh?" she snapped, her tone tightening. Elon stopped, grabbed a piece of chalk, and twirled it between his fingers before facing her. "How about we skip the privilege talk and get real? You pick a physics problem, toughest you've got. I'll solve it, right here, right now. Let's see what matters, who I am or what I know." The room buzzed like a live wire. Phones popped out, thumbs hovering over record buttons. Claire's eyes narrowed, caught off guard but too stubborn to back down. "A challenge?" she said, snatching the chalk from his hand with a flick of her wrist. "Fine, hotshot. Let's see if your brain's as big as your ego." She spun to the board and scribbled a beast of a quantum mechanics problem. Wave functions, entanglement, the works. It was grad school level nasty. Students gasped. One muttered, "We're so not there yet." Claire turned back, smirking like she'd just dropped a mic. "Go for it, Musk. Or you can jet back to your billion-dollar sandbox." The gauntlet was thrown, and the air crackled with anticipation. Elon studied the board for a beat, his brain visibly churning. Then, without a word, he picked up the chalk and scratched out the first line. The class leaned in. Claire folded her arms, smug, thinking she'd stumped him. But something in his focus, a glint of pure, unfiltered smarts, made her smirk wobble. "Game on," he muttered under his breath, and the chalk kept moving like it had a mind of its own. The MIT lecture hall was a pressure cooker as Elon Musk's chalk danced across the board, breaking down Claire Dawson's quantum mechanics beast with surgical precision. Students gawked, jaws dropping, as he worked through the tangle of equations like it was a Sunday crossword. "Check this out," he said, pausing to tap a funky-looking wave function. "I tweaked this trick for Starlink orbits. Theory's cool, but it's way hotter when you use it." The room hummed with stunned murmurs. A guy in a Red Sox cap whispered, "Dude, for real." Claire, arms still crossed, felt her stomach twist. This wasn't the wipeout she'd planned. "Starlink?" she scoffed, trying to claw back control. "What's next, Musk? Gonna name-drop Tesla to ace my class." Elon turned, unfazed, chalk dust smudging his hoodie. "Nah, Professor. Just saying physics doesn't care about your bank account. It's about cracking the code, for everybody here." A few students nodded, and a smattering of claps broke out. Claire's jaw tightened, her grip on the room slipping. "This isn't your tech bro playground," she shot back, stepping closer. "I call the shots in this class." But her voice wavered, drowned out by the vibe, shifting hard toward Elon. Then, bam, the door swung open. Dean Richard Hayes, a lanky guy with a perpetual frown, stormed in, tie flapping. "Claire, emergency faculty meeting now," he barked, oblivious to the showdown. Eyes darted around. Claire saw her out, a lifeline to dodge this mess. "Guess we'll hit pause," she said, grabbing her bag with a forced grin. "Catch you all later." She was halfway to the door when Elon's voice cut through, steady as steel. "Hold up, Professor. You threw down a challenge in front of everyone. Ditching now, what's that teach them?" He jerked his thumb at the students, who were all in, phones up. Richard blinked, thrown. "What's going on here?" he asked, glaring at Claire. She spun around, cheeks flushing. "Just a little demo, Dean. No biggie." But the class wasn't buying it. "No way. Finish it," a girl hollered. "Let him solve it," voices piled on. Claire was boxed in. Richard scratched his head, muttering, "Claire, what's the deal?" Elon seized the moment. "Just wrapping up a dare," he said, turning back to the board. He scratched out another line, slick and effortless, leaving half the room gasping. Claire stared, then at Richard, then the hyped-up crowd, totally Team Musk. Her getaway just turned into a cage. "This ain't over," she hissed under her breath, as the chalk clicked like a countdown to her reckoning. The room was electrified as Elon continued his masterclass at the chalkboard. Claire stood frozen, her escape route blocked by both Dean Hayes and the growing tide of student support for Musk. The air buzzed with anticipation, each stroke of chalk sounding like a drum roll in the packed lecture hall. "Okay, folks," Elon said, turning briefly to face the crowd. "Let's bring it back to basics." He erased part of the equation and started rebuilding it from scratch, explaining each step in clear, concise terms that even physics novices could follow. "Quantum mechanics gets a bad rap for being complicated," he continued. "But at its core, it's about understanding how particles interact, just like how we design systems at SpaceX." Claire watched, her frustration mounting. She had planned this moment to assert her authority, not to become a spectator in her own classroom. But as Elon worked through the problem, weaving in real-world applications from his work in space exploration and renewable energy, she couldn't help but feel a grudging admiration for his teaching style. It wasn't just about solving equations. It was about making physics relevant and exciting. Dean Hayes stepped closer, intrigued despite himself. "Mr. Musk," he began. How do you manage to make such complex topics so accessible? Elon paused, considering the question. It's all about perspective, he replied. When you're building rockets or designing sustainable energy solutions, you have to communicate ideas clearly, not just to engineers, but to investors, regulators, and everyday people. That skill translates well to teaching. As the final pieces of the solution came together, the students erupted into applause. Even Claire found herself clapping, though reluctantly. Impressive, she admitted, though her tone remained guarded. But isn't this simplifying things too much? Quantum mechanics is far more nuanced than what you presented here. Elon turned fully toward her now, his expression serious. Absolutely, Professor Dawson. There's always more depth to explore. But if we can't inspire students to see the beauty and potential of these concepts, then what's the point of teaching them at all? The dean nodded thoughtfully. An interesting perspective, he mused aloud. Perhaps there's value in combining traditional academic rigor with practical application. Something tells me our curriculum could benefit from this kind of approach. Claire bristled at the implication that her methods might need adjustment. With all due respect, Dean, she interjected sharply, we don't want to dilute the material just because someone has a flashy presentation style. Elon raised an eyebrow, leaning casually against the board. Flashy? Or maybe it's about connecting theory to reality. After all, isn't that what science is supposed to be about? Solving real-world problems? Before Claire could respond, another voice cut through the tension. A young woman in the front row stood up, her face flushed with excitement. Professor Dawson, Mr. Musk, she began nervously but firmly. I think what we're seeing here is two different approaches to learning, and they both have merit. Maybe instead of competing, we could collaborate. Her words hung in the air, prompting murmurs of agreement from other students. Several heads nodded, including some who had initially seemed skeptical of Elon's presence. Even Dean Hayes appeared thoughtful, stroking his chin as he considered the suggestion. Claire hesitated, visibly torn between maintaining her professional dignity and embracing this unexpected opportunity for growth. Meanwhile, Elon maintained his calm demeanor, watching her closely. Your call, Professor, he said finally, offering her a small smile. We can either keep this adversarial, or we can turn it into something productive for everyone involved. The room held its breath as Claire weighed her options. On one hand, backing down would mean admitting defeat in front of her peers and superiors. On the other, doubling down risked alienating her students and damaging her reputation further. Slowly, she exhaled, letting go of some of her defensiveness. You're right, she admitted quietly, surprising even herself. This doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. If anything, your insights today highlight areas where I could improve my own teaching methods. A ripple of approval spread through the audience. Encouraged by this olive branch, Elon extended his hand across the divide. Then let's shake on it, he proposed. Together, we might create something truly special here at MIT. A fusion of classical education and forward-thinking innovation. Reluctantly, Claire accepted the handshake, signaling a truce between them. For the first time since the confrontation began, genuine smiles broke out among the students. They sensed that history was being made right before their eyes, not just in terms of scientific discovery, but also in reshaping how knowledge itself was shared and understood within academia. Dean Hayes cleared his throat, stepping forward to address the group. Well, this certainly wasn't what I expected when I walked in, he admitted wryly. But given the enthusiasm I'm seeing here, perhaps we should formalize this partnership. Mr. Musk, would you consider co-teaching a special seminar series alongside Professor Dawson? We'd love to explore new ways of engaging our students through interdisciplinary collaboration. Elon glanced at Claire, gauging her reaction. To his surprise, she gave a slight nod of approval. If he promises not to steal all my thunder, she quipped dryly, earning laughter for both sides. Deal, Elon responded with a grin. Though I doubt anyone could outshine your expertise, Professor. Thus began an unlikely alliance that would transform the MIT physics department forever. Through their combined efforts, Claire and Elon created a groundbreaking program blending theoretical foundations with cutting-edge applications, inspiring countless students along the way. And while neither forgot their initial clash entirely, they came to realize that sometimes The best lessons come from challenging each other and ourselves to grow beyond preconceived boundaries. As the dust settled from their initial showdown, the MIT lecture hall buzzed with an unusual energy. Dean Hayes' proposal to co-teach a special seminar series had set the stage for something unprecedented, a collaboration between two minds who, despite their differences, shared a deep commitment to advancing knowledge. The room was still charged with excitement as students whispered among themselves, speculating about what this new partnership might mean for their education. "All right, let's get back to business," Claire announced, regaining her composure and stepping up to the podium. Her earlier sharpness softened slightly, replaced by a tone of cautious curiosity. "Since we're apparently teaming up here, why don't we finish solving that problem together?" She gestured toward the chalkboard, where Elon's elegant solution waited, incomplete but tantalizingly close to resolution. Elon grinned, accepting the challenge without hesitation. "Lead the way, Professor," he said, stepping aside to let Claire take the reins. But instead of seizing control, she invited him to continue. "No, you've got momentum. Show us how it ends." With renewed focus, Elon returned to the board, explaining each step in detail while encouraging student participation. "What happens next?" he asked, turning to the audience. A few brave souls offered answers, sparking a lively discussion that filled the room with animated voices and scribbling notebooks. Claire watched intently, taking mental notes on his teaching style. Unlike her usual methodical approach, Elon thrived on interaction, using real-world examples to make abstract concepts tangible. Yet beneath his charisma lay a rigorous understanding of physics that matched, or perhaps even surpassed, her own expertise. As they worked through the final stages of the equation, Claire began contributing her own insights, adding layers of complexity that challenged Elon's assumptions. Rather than resisting, he welcomed her input, creating a dynamic exchange that kept everyone engaged. "See, this is exactly why collaboration works," he remarked at one point. "Two perspectives are always better than one." By the time they reached the conclusion, the entire class erupted into applause, not just for the completed problem, but for the unexpected harmony between professor and tech titan. Even Dean Hayes looked impressed, nodding approvingly from the back of the room. But the day's drama wasn't over yet. Just as Claire prepared to wrap things up, a young man in the third row stood abruptly, his face flushed with determination. "Excuse me," he called out, standing to address both teachers. "This has been amazing, but can I try?" The room fell silent. Claire frowned, unsure whether to allow such an interruption. Before she could respond, Elon stepped forward, recognizing the spark of ambition in the student's eyes. "Absolutely," he encouraged warmly. "Let's hear your idea." Encouraged by the support, the student approached the board, nervously outlining a potential extension to the original problem. Though his approach contained flaws, there was undeniable creativity in his thinking. Both Claire and Elon listened attentively, offering constructive feedback rather than criticism. This impromptu session turned into a mini-workshop, with several other students volunteering their thoughts and ideas. What started as a simple quantum mechanics problem evolved into a collaborative exploration of theoretical possibilities, fueled by diverse perspectives and unbridled enthusiasm. Dean Hayes seized the moment, stepping forward to announce a surprise decision. "Given what we've witnessed today," he declared, "I propose we launch this joint seminar immediately. Starting next week, Mr. Musk and Professor Dawson will co-teach a weekly course focusing on bridging theory and application in modern physics. And if today's turnout is any indication, I suspect enrollment won't be a problem." The announcement was met with thunderous applause, leaving Claire momentarily speechless. After a brief pause, she managed a wry smile. "Guess we're really doing this, then," she admitted, earning laughter from the crowd. Elon chuckled, clapping her shoulder lightly. "Looks like it. Let's show these kids what happens when academia meets industry, and maybe teach each other a thing or two along the way." As the lecture hall emptied, the pair lingered behind, discussing plans for their upcoming course. Despite their earlier clash, there was now a palpable sense of mutual respect between them. Claire marveled at how quickly their adversarial relationship had transformed into genuine partnership, while Elon expressed admiration for her depth of knowledge and dedication to her craft. Their first official class would prove even more transformative than either anticipated. Word spread rapidly across campus about the unconventional duo, drawing record attendance numbers. Students came not only for the chance to learn from two giants in their fields, but also to witness firsthand the evolution of their unique partnership. Through open dialogue, shared challenges, and occasional friendly competition, Claire and Elon cultivated an environment where innovation flourished. They encouraged risk-taking, celebrated failure as part of the learning process, and emphasized the importance of viewing problems from multiple angles. Their combined influence inspired countless young minds, many of whom went on to achieve remarkable success in science, technology, and beyond. Yet perhaps the most significant impact lay in the transformation of those leading the charge. For Claire, working alongside someone so different forced her to reevaluate her rigid adherence to traditional methods. She discovered joy in experimentation and adaptability, qualities she hadn't fully embraced before. Meanwhile, Elon gained fresh appreciation for structured academic rigor, realizing its value in grounding groundbreaking ideas within solid foundations. Together, they proved that brilliance comes in many forms, and that true progress often arises from bridging divides rather than entrenching them. Their journey became a testament to the power of collaboration, showing that even the fiercest opponents can find common ground when united by passion and purpose. The weeks that followed transformed the MIT physics department into a hub of unprecedented energy and innovation. Claire Dawson and Elon Musk's joint seminar quickly became the talk of the campus, drawing students from every corner of the institute and beyond. Word spread like wildfire, with eager learners filling the lecture hall to capacity each week. The collaboration between an esteemed professor and a tech visionary created a unique synergy, one where theoretical foundations met real-world applications in ways no single teacher could have achieved alone. As the semester progressed, the dynamic duo refined their approach, blending Claire's methodical rigor with Elon's boundary-pushing creativity. Each class began with Claire laying out the core principles of the topic at hand: quantum mechanics, thermodynamics, or advanced astrophysics, presented with her signature precision. Then came Elon's segment, where he took these abstract theories and brought them to life through vivid examples drawn from his work at SpaceX, Tesla, and Neuralink. He spoke about how understanding quantum tunneling helped optimize battery performance, or how thermodynamic principles guided the design of reusable rockets. These connections weren't just fascinating, they were revelatory, showing students how classroom knowledge translated directly into solving some of humanity's greatest challenges. One particular session stood out as a turning point for many attendees. It was dedicated to black holes, a subject both professors held dear. Claire led off with a detailed explanation of event horizons and Hawking radiation, using equations so intricate they seemed almost poetic. When she finished, Elon stepped up, holding up a small model of a rocket engine nozzle. "This," he said, "isn't too far removed from what happens inside a black hole." Gasps rippled through the crowd as he explained how the intense gravitational forces within a black hole mirrored the extreme conditions engineers aim to replicate in propulsion systems. By the end of the hour, students were buzzing with questions, inspired not only by the science, but also by the realization that they could contribute to such monumental advancements. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As the partnership deepened, so did the occasional friction between two strong-willed individuals. There were moments when Claire bristled at Elon's tendency to leap ahead without fully exploring every detail, while Elon sometimes grew impatient with what he perceived as excessive caution on her part. Yet, rather than derail their collaboration, these disagreements often sparked deeper discussions, forcing them to refine their methods and challenge each other's assumptions. One memorable debate centered around the feasibility of faster-than-light travel, a concept Claire dismissed as pure speculation, while Elon argued it deserved further exploration given recent breakthroughs in quantum entanglement. Their back and forth lasted nearly 2 hours, leaving students mesmerized by the intellectual sparring and hungry for more. Outside the classroom, the impact of their collaboration extended far beyond the walls of MIT. Videos of select lectures leaked online, thanks to enterprising students, amassing millions of views and sparking global conversations about education reform. Critics praise the integration of industry expertise into academia, arguing it bridged the gap between theory and practice. Meanwhile, educators worldwide began rethinking their own approaches, inspired by Claire and Elon's example. For Claire, the experience marked a profound shift in her teaching philosophy. She realized that while structure and discipline remained essential, there was immense value in embracing flexibility and encouraging unconventional thinking. Her once stern demeanor softened, replaced by genuine enthusiasm for fostering creativity among her students. In turn, Elon discovered the importance of grounding his bold ideas in established scientific frameworks, recognizing that even the most revolutionary concepts needed solid foundations to succeed. Their growing rapport extended beyond professional boundaries, evolving into a friendship built on mutual respect and shared curiosity. They frequently met outside class hours to brainstorm new topics for future sessions or discuss broader issues facing science and society. During one such meeting, over coffee in MIT's bustling student center, Claire posed a question that had been nagging at her. "Elon, why are you really doing this? You're already rewriting the rules everywhere else. Why focus on education?" He leaned back in his chair, considering the query thoughtfully. "Because if we want to solve the problems ahead," he replied, "we need more than just smart people. We need thinkers who understand how to connect dots across disciplines. Education is the foundation for that kind of mindset." His words resonated deeply with Claire, reinforcing her belief in the power of interdisciplinary collaboration. By the end of the academic year, the effects of their partnership were undeniable. Enrollment in physics courses surged, with students citing the seminar as a key factor in their decision to pursue the field. Several participants went on to secure internships at SpaceX, Tesla, and other cutting-edge companies, crediting Claire and Elon for preparing them to think big and act boldly. Even faculty members noticed a shift in campus culture, with traditional silos breaking down as departments began seeking similar cross-disciplinary opportunities. In recognition of their achievements, Dean Hayes announced plans to establish a permanent program based on their model, naming it the MIT Innovation Bridge Initiative. The initiative would pair leading academics with industry leaders, creating ongoing collaborations designed to push the boundaries of scientific discovery. Claire and Elon served as its inaugural advisors, ensuring its success through careful planning and continued involvement. Looking back on their journey, neither could have predicted how much they'd learn from each other, or how profoundly it would shape their respective careers. For Claire, teaching alongside Elon reignited her passion for pushing limits and exploring uncharted territories. For Elon, working with Claire reinforced the importance of patience, thoroughness, and mentorship in nurturing the next generation of innovators. Their story became a legend at MIT, proof that brilliance comes in many forms and that true progress often arises from unlikely alliances. Together, they showed that whether in the quiet solitude of a lab or the high-stakes world of entrepreneurship, the pursuit of knowledge remains humanity's greatest adventure, and that everyone has something valuable to contribute along the way.